Don't blame it on the starlight. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on all night. Blame it on the fact that these are separate full price releases and not just one game. Okay, let's get this out of the way first. The Persona Dancing Endless Night collection is a cracking deal. I think it's well worth the $100 US or similar price wherever you are in the world, but getting either Persona 3 Dancing or Persona 5 Dancing for $60 each? Well, that's not such a good deal. What makes the Endless Night collection such a good deal in my opinion is the inclusion of Persona 4 Dancing, which was previously a Vita exclusive. P4D is a complete game, it feels like a complete game, and while Persona 3 and 5 Dancing are both pretty good games, they most certainly feel like half a game each, despite some of the improvements they've made over their predecessor. So with that in mind, the Endless Night collection is like getting 2 complete games plus some extras all for $100. That's a great deal. Now I'm a huge fan of music rhythm games. In fact, one of the things I miss most after spending a couple of weeks in Tokyo is the music rhythm games in all the arcades. I wouldn't consider myself amazing at them, especially not instantly, but it usually doesn't take me too long learning a game system before I'm quite happily playing on the hardest difficulty. Not 100% mind you, but easily finishing songs with good scores on the highest difficulties. The mechanics in all 3 Persona Dancing games are basically unchanged. There are 6 buttons on the screen that correlate to the 3 outermost buttons on either side of your PS4 controller. Notes will appear in the middle of the screen and flow toward one of the 6 buttons, and it's your job to press the right button just as the circles line up. There are some pretty standard music rhythm variations on these mechanics too. Sometimes you'll need to hold down a button for the length of the note rather than just pressing it, and sometimes you'll have to press 2 buttons at the same time. Persona 3 and 5 Dancing did an excellent job distinguishing the notes from what is happening in the background, and while Persona 4 Dancing is mostly fine, I did find myself sometimes missing a note because I just didn't see it until it was too late. There is one other mechanic they throw in to spice things up during a song, the scratch and/or fever mechanic. You will occasionally see a large blue circle that grows and extends to hit all 6 buttons. You are meant to push one of your analog sticks in any direction when that circle lines up with the buttons. Doing this will get you extra points and will be counted toward your current hit streak, but missing them causes no penalty and you do not lose your hit streak, unless you enable that option in the custom song settings, which you unlock over time. Fever works the same way, except the circle is multicolored and is labeled Fever. Hitting a certain number of Fever notes will unlock bonus scenes throughout the song. I actually liked the scratch visuals better in Persona 4 Dancing. They are less obtrusive and are just a simple blue line, where in Persona 3 and 5 Dancing they are much larger and have scratch labeled the entire outside length of the circle. All these mechanics work fine. It took me longer than I expected to get used to them though, and I'm still only playing on the middle difficulty for the most part, but it's fun. The thing I love about music rhythm games is how satisfying it is to nail a song, or to hit a bunch of notes in a row, and you definitely get that feeling across all 3 games. In every music rhythm game though, there will be some times where the notes don't seem to line up with how you are perceiving the song. Some games will try and make the notes correlate as realistically as possible to the instruments. Some games will focus on a particular instrument layer, and others just sort of play it by ear and try to get the feel right. There are problems with all 3 of these methods because of the way we each perceive sound differently. It's inevitable at some point during a song or two in any music rhythm game that you'll wonder what the notes you are currently hitting are meant to be tracking, but that feeling happened more times than I can remember in all 3 Persona Dancing games. This is probably the best example I recorded, and I can just not figure out what these notes are meant to be lining up with.
Watch. Getting pumped!
It's not a huge problem, it's not like the game is plagued with it, I just noticed it more often than other similar games I'm familiar with. Now going back to the beginning where I said Persona 4 Dancing feels like a complete game, whereas 3 and 5 each feel like half a game. The mechanics are mostly the same, as I explained, and there are roughly the same number of songs in each game as well, but the biggest difference between them is that in Persona 4 Dancing you have quite a lengthy story. It's a silly story, some would even say stupid story, but it is a story. Persona 4 Dancing actually feels like a hybrid music, rhythm, and visual novel. The story structure plays out a lot like Valkyria Chronicles. You move from chapter to chapter, and each chapter is either a lengthy visual novel-like segment, an animated cutscene, or a battle, which in this case is a song you need to complete. Persona 3 and 5 Dancing mostly drop this hybrid aspect. The games are almost entirely centered on the music rhythm gameplay. There are social events in each, but they are mostly short interactions between a limited number of characters.
Wait, what happens if we lose? You're not gonna punish us, are you?
Yes, please.
They are original, but it's not a story or anything with a lot of meat to it. The problem is that they significantly reduce the amount of content in each of these games compared to Persona 4 Dancing, and they did this to focus on the music rhythm aspect more, but they didn't add a higher number of tracks to make up for that content deficiency. You can't compare the number of tracks in Persona 4 Dancing to a dedicated music rhythm game, because Persona 4 Dancing is more than just a music rhythm game. It has less tracks than other rhythm games, but it provides a lot of additional content on top of that gameplay. But Persona 3 and 5 Dancing are essentially just music rhythm games, and having only 25 tracks in a music rhythm game is pretty woeful. It's a very low number, and you would normally expect a sequel to have far more tracks than the original, not roughly the same. That's why 3 and 5 Dancing each feel like half a game. If they were packaged together in the same game, you'd still have that loss of a full story, but you'd have roughly double the amount of songs that Persona 4 Dancing had to make up for that deficiency. And don't get me wrong, all three of these games do have something extra that a lot of other music rhythm games don't have. The dance sequences, cutscenes, animation, and all of that are delightful. It's pretty funny seeing some of your favourite characters from these games do the things they do, and thankfully there are ways to just sit back and watch these scenes after you've completed a song. You can also customize the characters with a variety of outfits and accessories. These are either bought using in-game currency in Persona 4 Dancing, or earned by completing songs and viewing social events in 3 and 5. The social events are also mostly a lot of fun. They had free reign to do whatever they wanted here, and it makes for some great moments between characters. This is why I think the Endless Night collection is such a good deal. It's $100 for over 70 songs, an entire game's worth of story in Persona 4 Dancing, and an entire game's worth of social events in the other two games, with a big whopping dollop of brilliant dancing and animation on top. It's hard to recommend spending $60 on just Persona 3 Dancing or Persona 5 Dancing, but the Endless Night collection is one of the easiest recommendations I'll make all year. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and sharing, and I'll see you all soon.